gratitude to you, Mr. President, for allowing these many Kenyans to be part of the Mozambique community. There are not as many as the Makonde in Kenya, but I am sure someday along the road we will be able to improve our relations so that more people from Mozambique can come to Kenya and more people from Kenya can come to Mozambique, and to appreciate, Your Excellency, that our two countries have taken the bold step to abolish visa requirements between our two countries. I know sometimes when we do this, criminals take advantage of that situation, but I'm happy that today we have agreed on how to eliminate the bad people so that we can allow the good people to use the facilities that we are putting in place, including the abolition of visa, to drive trade, to drive investment, for people to move, visit, and drive our economic opportunities. I thank you, Your Excellency, for hosting these citizens of my country. They have confirmed to me that they feel very much at home while they are here. And I was very happy to learn from you, Your Excellency, that they are making a very positive contribution to the development of your country, and I will encourage them to continue to do that. Your Excellency, because of the challenges of climate change, and we've seen the effects, not just in Mozambique, even in our region in the Horn of Africa. In the last 1 year, in the Horn of Africa, we have lost 9.5 million heads of livestock to drought. And the same effects that you feel in Southern Africa and in Mozambique in particular, we have the same ravaging effects of climate change. And I want to thank you, Mr. President, for agreeing for us to come and consolidate our position, our thoughts, and our ideas in the Africa Climate Summit that will be held in Nairobi from the 4th to the 6th of next month, as a way of Africa positioning itself, not just as a victim, but also as a place where we can provide solutions, because indeed we believe we have the necessary resources, renewable energy resources, mineral resources, and we have the human capital to provide mechanisms for solutions to climate change, including green growth and mechanisms to decarbonize industrialization and manufacturing globally using the resources we have in this continent. Your Excellency, I look forward to receiving you in Nairobi. As I told you, we would really value your input even ahead of the summit. We are going to share with you the concept notes and the proposed declaration so that we can all consolidate our ideas even as we go to the UN General Assembly and also to COP28. We have asked the presidency of COP28 to participate in the event in Nairobi so that we can begin to inform the outcome of what is going to be in UAE later this year. Your Excellency, let me conclude by congratulating Mozambique for taking up the non-permanent seat in the UN Security Council. We are very proud of the leadership that Mozambique is providing. We are happy that Kenya has worked with your team in New York. And just to confirm to you, Mr. President, as I did, that even though we supported Mozambique being the immediate former occupant of that space, Mozambique are doing better than we did. And I was telling you, it's the case of the student being better than the teacher. So again, we appreciate your leadership in that space. And to speak to the global challenges around security that you have spoken to, which I fully associate with, whether it is in Ukraine or in Sudan. And Mr. President, I will brief you later on the discussions we are having under IGAD. I did speak to the President of Egypt a few days ago, and the President of Chad, and I did have an engagement with the President of Ethiopia, even as we provide leadership under the AU IGAD framework to resolve the issues in Sudan, because we believe that the conflict in Sudan is completely senseless and unnecessary. And the kind of destruction of life and property and infrastructure is not justified in any way. And the sooner that conflict comes to an end, the better. We are working collaboratively with the JEDA initiative, the IGAD AU framework, and also the neighbors framework under the chairmanship of Egypt, to consolidate all these initiatives. And this morning I spoke to former Prime Minister Hamdok, among the people leading the civilian groups that brings together political parties, civil society groups, women groups, youth groups, together to provide a comprehensive framework on how to resolve issues in Sudan and take the country to civilian rule, democratic civilian rule. And it is the same case, Your Excellency. In Niger, our collective position is that we support ECOWAS and the interventions that they are putting in place to make sure that we avoid and resist the slide into military dictatorships and unconstitutional removal of governments. Africa is a democratic continent, and we believe that Africa has sufficient democratic credentials to be able to manage the affairs of our countries with the legitimacy that comes from the people in democratic elections. And that is the only change of government through democratic elections that guarantees the aspirations of not just our individual countries, but the collective will of the people of this continent. And whatever means necessary that should be used to make sure that these democratic processes are sustained and maintained and protected should be brought to bear to stop those who want to use the barrel of the gun to run the affairs of countries or to manage the issues of our continent. Your Excellency, I once again thank you and the people of this great nation for welcoming us. I look forward to a fruitful visit. And Your Excellency, I'm a farmer myself, so I will suggest on what we can do, the huge resources we have in this continent. There are many people in the business delegation that we will be meeting later this afternoon who are interested in opportunities in farming, so that as a continent, we can leverage on the resources that we have to make sure that our continent is food secure and use it to drive our economy. Your Excellency, again, thank you very much. My very best wishes, and God bless all of us. Asante.
Muito obrigado, Excelências. Permita-me, Excelência.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. I would like to announce the second part of our press conference by inviting the journalists to present their questions. We will have two questions, one for the Mozambican part and one to the Kenyan press. In summary, we'll have two questions. Firstly, name and also the name of the institution that you represent. Very good afternoon, Honorable President Philip Jacinto Nyusi and William Ruku. My name is Manyiki from RTP. First of all, I would like to raise a question to the two heads of states. This has to do with a situation that weakens in Africa. Kenya and Mozambique are two countries that integrate African Union. In your view, how Africa can be free from the queue? If you allow me, the second question. The second has to do with the situation of Mozambique. The public sector in Mozambique, they claim about the delay in the salary. There are threats that there might be some strike in public sector. Should we pay attention to the state visits and then we will deal with domestic issue? These state visits, please. I'm going to start. Even that question that you were raising in different moments, that has been being raised, and the issue is being dealt as domestic issue, that the country is available at any time to give the response, not in a just like forum like the. We are working in that way. We hope that explanation to those who think that deserve explanation will have. But there is no any problems related to salary due to lack of resources. There is a new element. We are migrating from one system to the other in terms of criteria on how the salary procedures are made. As you know, we also had a situation of single salary table, which is a new element which changed. So these migrations from one process is bringing those discontinuity that sometimes demands patience, and not that there are no effort of migrating to the system. There is a need of any environment in which people collaborate so that their problems may have a solution. I was speaking with a certain citizen before yesterday, and he said that there are medical doctors who receive 52,000, but now they're above 100,000. So in this case, when we resolve one problem, there are other problems that appear, but we need to have enough calm so that step by step we may resolve 1, 2, 3 problem, and we are going to reach the best moment. If yesterday you had one and today you have two, today that you have two, don't demand 3 and 4 at the same time, because there were about 40 years that you were in the same proportion. And if the ratio goes to 2, it has to be respected, because that means effort, and that effort cannot be neglected and cannot be blocked. We are thinking very high, not just for the officials. Those problems exist all the society. I just want to respect the second question. I also wanted to respond, because the first question was responded, that was addressed by me. I spoke about Sudan. I also spoke about the unconstitutional change, and the President Ruto also transmitted the experience of what is doing based to Sudan, Tunisia, as well as he engaged others in meeting. So that question has been responded. So thank you so much.
Although I didn't quite understand the question. I don't know.
Yes. A primeira pergunta, pode repetir?
I was saying that Africa, there are coups that happens in Africa. I had a two intervention of the head of the state. I would like to hear what is the solution so that Africa can be free from those conflicts. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that's a very pregnant and very important question. That we broke away and we broke the chains of colonialism in our continent, and we broke the chains of colonialism because they were imposed on us without our will, without our wish. They were undemocratic, they were not participatory, they were against the majority will of the people of our continents, whether it is the Portuguese here or the British Portuguese in Mozambique or the British in Kenya. These were wills that were imposed on our people without their consent. Our position is that undemocratic, unconstitutional imposition of the will of any government of whatever nature on the people without their consent is wrong, the same way colonialism was wrong. And that Africa can only proceed into the future if we allow the people of our countries and of our continent to determine their destiny and to choose their leaders in democratic means, using democratic means. The way you do here in Mozambique, and the way we do in Kenya, and the way it is done in many parts of our continent. And therefore, as a union, in the Africa Union, we are against any undemocratic removal of any government. Coups are not a panacea. They are not a solution to the challenges that we have as a continent. They are as undemocratic as the colonial masters. And we are taking a very firm position as nations, as the Africa Union. Any undemocratic removal of any government immediately earns the expulsion from the Africa Union. They cease to be members of the Africa Union. And as I said, ECOWAS, which is part of the building blocks of the Africa Union, is handling the case, for example, in Niger. IGAD is handling the case in Sudan, because we believe that we should be able to provide a solution as leaders in this continent on matters that concern all our countries. We are all informed that today there is a meeting of ECOWAS, for example, to deliberate on the coup in Niger. Our position is that President Bazoum should be reinstated as the democratically elected president of Niger, and whatever interventions ECOWAS will agree on will have the support of those of us in the Africa Union, so that we can put a stop to the slide to undemocratic government in our continent.
Muito obrigado, Excelência. Temos